Today we're going to be studying mathematics.
And emerges from the second mirror.
These words sound
Be your teacher for today. Hello my great scholars, you're welcome to MSI Tech e-Learning Africa. This is a place we prepare you for a better future. Today we'll be considering this topic, quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is not a new topic for you. I believe you've heard about quadratic equation before. You've heard about quadratic formula, and in Nigeria we call it almighty formula because it can solve many questions. I mean, it is applicable to different type of topic in mathematics. But today we are going to focus on quadratic equation. The first thing you need to understand is what is quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is given by this ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. This is the foundation of quadratic equation, and in this class I'll be teaching you completing the square, factorization, graphical and quadratic formula in solving quadratic question. That is telling you that we have 4 methods in solving quadratic equation or quadratic question. Number 1, we have completing the square. Number 2, we have factorization. Number 3, we have graphical method, and the 4th one is quadratic formula. So I'm going to start with completing the square in this class. Today we are going to focus on completing the square. Okay class, let's take a look at this question. Use completing the square to solve this question. X squared plus x minus 3 equals to 0. Now you need to understand and you need to pay attention, because we are going to do some things that look somewhat strange when it comes to mathematics, but it's not strange if you really understand, but it will be strange to you if you don't pay attention. So I want you to pay attention as we want to solve this question together. Right now, when we say completing the square, we have something like x squared plus x equals to 3. That is, this minus 3, take it to this side, right? It will give you plus 3, right? Now you need to understand the coefficient of x here is 1. The coefficient of x here is 1. If I give you a question that has 2x, the coefficient of x here is 2. So you need to understand that before you can solve question on completing the square. Now since the coefficient here is 1, then you now say 1, multiply it by half, then square it. It will give us 1 times 1, 1, 2 square. Now this is what we call completing the square. Now we've used this coefficient of s here to form this. What you now do is 1 all over 2 square, add it to this side, add it to this side. What are we going to have? We are going to have s squared plus x plus 1 all over 2 square plus 3, okay, equals to 3 plus 1 all over 2 square. I believe you are following me, right? Now since we get this, we are going to have x squared plus x plus 1 all over 2 square equals to 3 plus 1 square will give us 1. 2 square means 2 times 2, which will give us 4. Now you can see that something is common to this side. We have square here, we have square here. So you can write it like this: x plus 1 all over 2 square both sides will give us 3 plus 1 all over 4. Divide this by 1 to make it fraction. Now when you divide it by 1, this will give us x plus 1 all over 2 square equals to 4 times 3 will give us 12. 1 times 1 will give us 1. 1 times 4 will give us 4. So this will give us, permit me to use this, x plus 1 all over 2 square equals to 12 plus 1 will give us 13 all over 4. Now what you do here, you need to find the square root of both sides. If you find the square root of both sides, x going to give you, when this plus 1 over 2 cross to this side, it turns to minus 1 all over 2 plus or minus square root of 13 all over 4. So x will give you minus 1 all over 2 plus or minus square root of 13 all over 2, because the square root of 4 is 2. I believe you understand that, right? Now from here you can do something, and what is that? Is either you find the square root of 13, or you solve it like this. It's still the same. X will give us minus 1 all over 2 plus square root of 13 all over 2, or minus 1 all over 2 minus square root of 13 all over 2. So x will give us minus 1 all over 2 plus, if you find the square root of 13, it will give us 2.61. So 2.61 all over 2, or minus 1 over 2 minus 2.61 all over 2. So x will give us, you discover that the denominators are the same, right? You just pick one, minus 1 plus 2.61 all over 2, or minus 1 minus, it will also give us minus 3.61 all over 2. Now if you do this, x will give us minus 1 over 2 plus or minus 3.61 divided by 2, because the square root of 13 is 3.61 if you press your calculator, right? So, or minus 1 over 2 minus 3.61 all over 2. So x will give us minus 1 plus 3. Okay, now looking at this, you discover that the denominators are the same, right? Just a minus 1 plus 3.61 divided by 2, or minus 1 minus, give us minus 4.61 all over 2. Now this will give us 2.61 all over 2, or if you do this, you will have 4 minus 4.61 all over 2. Now if you press your calculator, you know what you are going to get, 1.31 or minus 2.81. So this will give us the final answer. I believe you understand this, right? In case you find it difficult, in which I believe you are not going to find this difficult, all what you need to do is just know the basic principle. If you know the basic principle of completing the square, I'm telling you, you can solve any question related to completing the square method. Now before I leave this class, I want to give you more difficult questions. I want to solve more difficult questions with you, so that when you see those difficult questions, you'll be able to know how to tackle them. I'll be right back. Okay class, now let's take a look at this question. We want to solve this question using completing the square, and you can see that it's a little bit different from the previous question we solved, so you need to pay attention. Now from here we have 3x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals to 0. So what you are going to do here, you divide both sides by 3, because we have 3 here. So divide this by 3, divide this by 3, divide this by 3. 3 cancel 3, we have x squared plus 7 all over 3x plus 1, because 3 divided by 3 will give us 1. So now you can now rearrange this by saying x squared plus 7 all over 3x equals to minus 1. I believe I'm not too fast. I trust you, you are going to get this, because when you take this to the other side, it turns to minus 1, right? Okay, now you need to understand what I told you in the first question. This is the coefficient of x here, 7 all over 3. So pick 7 all over 3, multiply it by half and square it. That makes it completing the square. So if you do that, you are going to have 7 all over 4 square. Okay, sorry, this is 3. Pardon me for that. This is 3. 7 all over 3. So this will give us 7 all over 6 square. Now you add 7 all over 6 squared to both sides. You are going to have x squared plus 7 all over 3x plus 7 all over 6 squared equals to minus 1 plus 7 all over 6 squared. Okay, now from here, since square is here, you can write it as 6x plus 7 all over 6 squared equals to minus 1 plus 7 times 7 49, 6 times 6 36, right? So this will give us, permit me to use this, x plus 7 all over 6 square equals to minus 1 all over 1 plus 49 all over 36. So if you do that, we are going to have minus 36 plus 49 divided by 36. So this will give us x plus 7 all over 6 squared, 49 minus 36, 49, 36, we have 3, 1, 13. So this will give us 13 all over 36. Now the next thing is to find the square root of both sides. When you do that, x will give us minus 7 all over 6 plus or minus square root of 13 all over 36. So this will give us minus 7 all over 6 plus or minus root 13 divided by root 36. So x will give us minus 7 all over 6 plus or minus root 13 divided by 6. Because you know the square root of 36 is 6. So since 6 is common to both, you can just say x equals to minus 7 plus or minus root 13 divided by 6. So this will be our final answer. You can leave your answer like this, and if you like, you can find the square root of 13 and divide, and you will still get your answer. I believe you understand everything we have done so far in this class under this topic, completing the square in quadratic equation. Thank you until I see you next class. Remember, at the end of this module, you are going to write evaluation test at the end of each week, and at the end of this whole module, you are going to write exam. I want you to pay attention and make sure that you take your study very serious. Thank you very much. Until I see you next class.